Have you ever been there? That exact moment. You meet someone new, you look them right in the eye, you shake their hand, and then, just a few seconds later, you realize their name has completely evaporated from your mind? It's so frustrating, right? And it happens to all of us. Well, today, we're going to dig into the profound reason why. Yeah, it all starts with that feeling, doesn't it? That little wave of silent panic that just washes over you. You're still smiling, you're still making eye contact, but inside, your brain is just frantically scrambling, trying to find the echo of that name. And there's nothing. Just a blank space where their identity should be.
And in that split second, what's the first thing you think? What's wrong with me? We immediately assume we're just rude or maybe absent-minded or that our memory is just failing us. But what if it's not a failure at all? Here's the big twist. According to the legendary psychiatrist Carl Jung, you don't just accidentally forget things. You forget them because a huge part of your mind, your unconscious, has made a deliberate choice not to remember. This isn't some glitch in the system, it's actually a really sophisticated mechanism doing its job.
So this just completely reframes the whole problem, doesn't it? Your memory isn't some faulty hard drive. A better way to think of it is like a highly selective gatekeeper for your mind. If a name doesn't stick, it's not because something's broken, it's because the gatekeeper looked at it, kind of shrugged, and just tossed it right back into the ocean. So the real question isn't, why is my memory so bad? It's, wait a minute, why did my unconscious mind just reject this person?
All right, so where do we even start looking for clues? Well, it begins with the most common reason this happens, something Jung called the persona.
The persona. You can think of it as the character we play in social situations. It's the us we want the world to see, that charming guest at a party, the super attentive employee in a meeting. And when we meet someone new, almost all of our mental energy is consumed by keeping this mask on, by performing our role correctly.
See, this is where all your brain power is actually going. We're not really listening. We're unconsciously running through a performance checklist in our heads. Our brain is so busy with this internal script that there's just no bandwidth left for anything coming from the outside, like a name. You didn't really hear it because in that moment, you were pretty much the only person in the room.
Okay, but it's not always about social anxiety. It can actually go way, way deeper. The reasons our unconscious gatekeeper hits the reject button can be, well, they can be pretty profound and honestly a little unsettling.
The second you meet someone, your intuition is doing this incredibly fast, ruthless scan. It's looking for their potential value to your life. Are they a partner, a threat, an opportunity? And if it decides, you know what, this encounter is temporary, this person isn't really relevant to my future, it basically says, file not saved. And poof, the name is just gone.
All right, now for an even more provocative idea. Sometimes we reject people because they trigger what Jung called our shadow. You know, the parts of ourselves we don't like or we try to hide. For instance, if you can't stand arrogance and you meet someone who's really arrogant, your psyche might just recoil. Forgetting their name becomes this tiny, passive-aggressive act of rebellion. It's a subconscious way of saying, you don't exist in my world.
And sometimes, the name itself is the trigger. A complex, in Jungian terms, is basically like an emotional landmine buried in your subconscious. So, if a new name gets too close to an old wound, your psyche acts like a bodyguard. And honestly, it will sacrifice a little social grace in a heartbeat to protect you emotionally. It just censors the name before you're even consciously aware of it.
Then there's another huge piece of this puzzle. Our brains are basically running on ancient software in a super modern world, and that creates a massive system conflict.
Just look at this mismatch. Our brain's operating system is ancient, right? It's hardwired for things like face recognition, threat detection, real emotional connection. It is not built for the software of modern society, these totally arbitrary, bureaucratic labels we call names. So yeah, you're literally experiencing a system conflict every single time you shake someone's hand.
And you know, different personality types forget names for completely different reasons. Take a sensation type. They're all about the five senses, so they'll remember the scratchy feel of your sweater or the smell of your cologne. But the name? Nah, that abstract data just got overwritten. Then you have the intuitive type. They're seeing the big picture, the concept. They're sizing you up. Is this person an ally, a threat, a puzzle? To them, your name is just static. It's surface noise.
And this, right here, this really gets to the heart of it all. Think about it. You almost never forget a juicy piece of gossip, right? Why? Because knowing that person is untrustworthy has real survival value. It tells you who to trust in the tribe. But the name Steve, all by itself, it has zero survival value. Your brain is just being ruthlessly efficient. It throws out the data it thinks is useless.
All right, so how do we fix this? Well, from this Jungian point of view, it's not about learning some silly memory trick. It's about a fundamental shift in how you see things, a totally different way of approaching people altogether.
And here it is. This is the real solution. It all starts when you shift your mental energy. You have to stop focusing on your own performance, trying to be witty or impressive, and instead push that energy outward. When you get genuinely curious about the mystery of the person standing in front of you, the name just sticks. It's almost effortless.
Okay, so here's a really practical way to start speaking the language of your unconscious mind. Remember, it thinks in symbols and images, not boring old text. So you meet a guy named Mark. Don't just repeat the sound in your head. No, instantly picture a big check mark right on his forehead. See what you're doing? You're translating an abstract word into a vivid image. You're giving it some visual weight that your brain can actually grab onto.
But the real work, the deeper stuff, is about consciousness. Jung had this great line. He said, "We don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." So the next time you're in that situation and you feel that mental fog rolling in, try to catch yourself, acknowledge it, admit to yourself, wow, my brain just decided this person is irrelevant. That little moment of honesty is huge. It disarms the shadow. And then you can make a conscious choice to re-engage, to really honor their existence by holding on to their name.
And finally, try changing your entire perspective on introductions. Jung was a big believer in synchronicity, that there are no real accidents. So what if that person whose name you're about to forget is actually the exact messenger you need in your life right now? The moment you start seeing every new person as a potential synchronicity, your attention just naturally sharpens. Suddenly, the name isn't just a label, it's a key, and we don't tend to lose the keys to doors we genuinely want to open.
So you see, this was never really about the capacity of your memory at all. It was always about connection. The next time you meet someone new, just ask yourself this one simple question. Shifting from just passively hearing a label to actively witnessing a person, well, that might just be the most powerful memory technique in the entire world.